They called it the final bastion. A lone city, shimmering beneath an impenetrable dome of light. The last defiant pulse of humanity on a conquered Earth. For a century, we lived in this gilded cage, watching the alien armada swarm the skies. Their ships, city-sized behemoths of obsidian and jagged metal, blotted out the sun. Their weapons, lances of pure energy that could glass a continent in seconds, would hammer against our shield day and night. But the dome always held. It was our miracle, our legacy, our promise of survival. We were told it was the pinnacle of human ingenuity, a testament to our unbreakable spirit. We were told lies. My name is Alara. I was born in the shadow of the dome. My lullaby is the distant, muted thunder of the alien siege. Like everyone else, I believed the story. I went to school, learned our sanitized history, and trained to be a technician. One of the thousands who maintained the systems that supposedly kept our sanctuary alive. The city was a marvel of clean lines and bright lights, a sterile paradise where fear was a distant echo. But curiosity was a weed that grew even in the most manicured gardens. I started noticing energy fluctuations that didn't match the official logs. Power conduits that led to classified sectors deep beneath the city's core, sectors that weren't on any public map. My clearance gave me access to the superficial layers of the network, but I was good. Better than they knew. Peeling back the layers of encrypted code, ghosting through firewalls that were designed to keep people like me out. The deeper I went, the stranger the data became. I found schematics for a containment field, but it wasn't designed to keep anything out. It was designed to hold something in. The power signatures were immense, organic and rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. The system was codenamed Project Echo. The official story was that it was a long-range communication array. Failed attempt to call for help from the stars. Another lie. One night, driven by a gnawing sense of wrongness, I used a stolen keycard and a string of backdoor codes to descend into the forbidden levels. The air grew colder, the pristine white corridors giving way to raw, unadorned rockcrete. This was the city's secret heart, a place of grim functionality. And at its very center, I found it. A massive chamber, circular and cold. In the middle, suspended in a crackling golden cage of light, was a child. It wasn't human. It was slender, with skin that shimmered like captured starlight and eyes like pools of liquid silver. It couldn't have been more than a few years old, floating in a state of forced stasis, thin glowing cables tethered to its small body. These cables snaked out from the containment field, feeding into the colossal generators that powered our dome. My blood ran cold, the rhythmic pulse I saw in the data logs. It was its heartbeat, the immense energy signature. It was its life force. Our miracle shield wasn't a machine. It was a prison, and its power source was the stolen life of a child. An alien child. Suddenly, it all made a horrifying kind of sense. The relentless, yet strangely restrained, siege. The aliens weren't trying to destroy us. They were trying to break a cage. They were trying to get their child back. Our entire civilization, our last bastion of hope, was built on the suffering of an innocent. I felt a wave of nausea. The stories of our ancestors' heroism, their defiance, it was all a lie to justify a monstrous act. We weren't survivors. We were kidnappers. The child's silver eyes opened, and for a moment they met mine. There was no anger in them, only a profound, ancient sadness. I couldn't hear its voice, but a thought, clear as a bell, echoed in my mind. Help me. That was it. There was no debate, no weighing of options. 100 years of lies couldn't stand against a single moment of truth. I slammed my hand on the emergency access panel next to the chamber. Alarms blared, red lights flashing, painting the cold room in a hellish glow. A synthesized voice boomed from the walls. Security breach in Sector 0. Lethal force authorized. I had to work fast. The console in front of me was a nightmare of alien and human code intertwined. I started hacking, my fingers flying across the holographic interface, bypassing lockouts and purging security protocols. My mind raced, trying to unravel the system that held the child captive. Heavy metal footsteps echoed down the corridor. Our own security drones, sleek, chrome machines of death, rounded the corner, their weapons glowing. But they weren't alone. From the shadows, figures emerged, tall and silent, alien infiltrators. They must have been on the planet for years, waiting, searching. They moved with a liquid grace that was both beautiful and terrifying, their energy blades igniting with a sharp hiss. The corridor erupted into a maelstrom of chaos. Laser fire from the drones crisscrossed with the shimmering arcs of the alien blades. Explosions rocked the chamber, showering sparks and debris. The drones were efficient, but the aliens were faster, more fluid. They were fighting with a desperation I now understood. They were fighting for their child. It was a war in miniature, a microcosm of the century-long conflict raging above. But down here, the lines between hero and villain were hopelessly blurred. A stray blast from a drone's cannon slammed into the wall near me, throwing me to the floor. My head swam, the roar of the battle fading in and out. I looked up and saw the child still trapped, its eyes wide with fear. The aliens were being pushed back, overwhelmed by the sheer number of drones. I wouldn't have another chance. Ignoring the pain, I crawled back to the console. The primary release was locked behind a dozen layers of biometric and quantum encryption. It would take too long. But there was another way. A crude way. A complete system overload. It would short out the entire grid, not just the containment field. It would bring down the dome. It would doom us all. Or it would save us. I looked at the child one last time, its silent plea echoing in my soul. I rerouted every ounce of power I could access, funneling it directly into the containment field's core regulator. The console screamed with warnings, red alerts flashing across the screen. Catastrophic overload imminent, the synthesized voice declared calmly. The drones and the aliens paused their fight for a split second, turning towards the growing hum emanating from the central chamber. The golden light of the containment field began to flicker, growing brighter and more unstable with every passing second. With a final keystroke, I confirmed the command. A blinding flash of white light filled the room, followed by a deafening crack, like thunder right inside my skull. The force of it threw me back against the far wall. When my vision cleared, the golden cage was gone. Cables tethered to the child had snapped, retracting into the floor like startled snakes. The child floated freely for a moment, then drifted gently to the ground, landing on its feet. Silence. The battle had stopped. The drones stood motionless, their power cut. The surviving aliens lowered their weapons, their shoulders slumping in what looked like relief. Above us, I heard a deep groaning sound, the sound of a giant machine dying. On the citywide monitors, I saw it. The shimmering dome, our shield for 100 years, flickered violently. It pulsed, it wavered, and then, like a soap bubble popping, it vanished. For the first time in a century, the sky above our city was open, filled with the menacing shapes of the alien warships. Panic would be erupting in the streets above. The end had come. But here, in the heart of the secret, there was only a profound quiet. The alien child looked at me, and for the first time, I saw it smile. It was a small, gentle expression, but it held more power than any weapon. It took a step towards me, the chaos of the battle and the impending doom of the city seeming to fade away. It raised a slender hand and a voice, not in my mind this time, but a soft, melodic whisper that filled the air, spoke a single phrase. A phrase that chilled me to my very core and yet filled me with a strange, terrifying hope. Now, it whispered, as the shadows of the descending fleet fell over our doomed, liberated city, they will listen. Thank you for watching. If this story sparked your imagination, hit that like button, subscribe for more tales from the edge of the universe, and let me know in the comments what you think happens next.